Hello, everyone, and welcome to Clean Water Conversations, the podcast where we have casual discussions about creating clean and clear waterways right here in Lancaster County. I'm Ken.
And I'm Allyson.
Allyson, we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Let's do it.
This is episode 1
of the podcast.
Yes, and we are talking with Monique Dykman, who is the MS4 Environmental Specialist for Londonderry Township.
She's a pretty fantastic lady.
She is. She is, and a great interview, and very, very relaxed and very informative.
That's right.
And I learned a lot.
Definitely.
I learned a lot. And one interesting thing, we have, if you're listening for the first time, we have a rule against unexplained acronyms. And if one of the guests, or even one of us for that matter, were to say an acronym and not explain what those letters mean, you hear this. We did not hear that at all with Monique.
Not at all.
She was very conscious about not getting that. So
that's right.
Yeah,
she's aware of how many times she has to explain what MS4 is.
Yes, and she explained it on multiple occasions. So it was very good. You know what? Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Our interview, episode 1 with Monique Dykman. Well, we're sitting here talking with Monique Dykman, who is the MS4 Environmental Specialist at Londonderry Township. Thank you for coming in and talking to us.
Thanks for having me, Kenn and Allyson.
So we always start these conversations with an icebreaker, just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So your question is, what was your favorite item you bought in 2023 and why?
Wow.
That's a tough one, I know.
It is.
Could be a favorite item. Maybe not the.
Right.
Do you get new sports toys, or are you a gardener?
I do garden, but I didn't buy anything for myself to garden with. I have everything I needed.
Did you take a trip? Did you buy a plane ticket?
Yeah, I went down over the Christmas holiday. I went down and saw my parents there in Florida. So
nice.
I bought a plane ticket down there.
There you go.
That was a nice trip. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, nice, nice. Do you get down to see them very often?
No, once a year.
Oh, wow.
But they'll come up too.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good purchase for 2023.
Yeah. It's not too bad when you fly out of Harrisburg Airport.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy flight, but yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you. Were you always interested in conservation? Did you grow up in?
Yeah, I did grow up interested in conservation. I spent a lot of time outside. I did grow up in a sailing family in Annapolis, Maryland, so we spent our summers on the Chesapeake Bay, which is ultimately the connection to the MS4 world that I'm in now. Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems is what MS4 stands for. So I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay, and when it ultimately came time to choose what I wanted to spend 40 hours a week doing, the only thing I could think about was being outdoors and connecting people with the outdoors. So that's my intro to conservation and needing to be involved. I didn't think of anything else I would be passionate about.
Yeah.
What brought you from Annapolis to Lancaster?
Oh, I had a little travel. So right after college, I went to college in Southern Maryland, and right after college, I worked at an outdoor center in Western Massachusetts. And from there, I worked on a river cleanup barge in Illinois. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, what is that guy's name?
Living Lands and Waters.
Yes,
Chad Progression.
Chad.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Inspirational guy.
It was so great to work on the river, but I wanted to be closer to home, and I got a job at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation in Pennsylvania in Harrisburg. And so I moved to Harrisburg, and then ultimately from Harrisburg came to Londonderry.
Got it.
And then moved to Lancaster subsequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. The two of you
great.
know everybody. What is up with that?
It is a small world. The longer I'm in the conservation field, the smaller of a world it gets.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, Allyson and I were just talking off mic yesterday, and I know how you and I met. We met at MS Forum back in September. In fact, Allyson introduced us. How did the two of you meet?
When I was at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, I think Lane and I, my former boss at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, came to Lancaster, and it was one of my first 3 trips to Lancaster of my whole life. And I think we met and talked about the Keystone 10 Million Trees project.
Yeah. Okay, so through Lane. I knew it was when you were with CBF, and I was with CBF before that.
You were, yes.
But okay, that makes more sense now.
And thinking about it, did we meet in person, though?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because we might have just been connected via email.
Maybe.
I don't remember, actually, the first time I would have met you. I probably would have come to like a MS forum or an initial meeting that you had.
Action team meetings or something. Yeah.
I think that would be it. So it was after Chesapeake Bay Foundation. But again, we're a very insular community.
Well, it feels so natural that we've known each other for longer.
Yes.
It is a tiny, tiny little conservation world.
With massive impacts and a reach that needs to go further. So part of our importance of storytelling here. We're glad that you're here, Monique, to help us.
You said it, and a great segue, by the way.
Hey, thanks.
So you mentioned how you came to Lancaster. What got you to Londonderry Township?
I had worked in a number of nonprofits before I considered working in the municipal world. And as I was working at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, I was coordinating partners. And one of the partners actually had this role. So I was interested in a change and wanted to see what the municipal world had to offer and what impacts I could make in the municipal world.
Wow, and how you have. It's been amazing what you have accomplished there. Congratulations. And obviously bringing skill sets and connections to that work too.
Thank you. I have really enjoyed it. And the partnerships and the connections are probably my favorite part of these jobs.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let's talk about one of those projects, the stream and wetlands restoration right there in Londonderry Township. Can you tell us, what got that started?
Sure. So we call that the Conewago Floodplain Restoration. And that idea, I can't take credit for. It's been 10 or 15 years, probably 15 years in the making at this point in time. My former boss, Steve Letavik, had a huge role in getting it up off the ground and handed it to me about 5 years ago. It's a large, almost 25-acre restoration site with an additional 33 acres of native meadows, and it handles 125,000 cubic yards of flood water, so it reduces flooding onto nearby roads. It is fulfilling our MS4, again, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, pollutant reduction plan. So we are not only getting credits, but other municipalities in Dauphin County, as well as Mount Joy Township, are also getting their pollutant reduction credits to fulfill the MS4 program. So it's a multi-part project.
Those are some big numbers.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many acres and how many cubic feet of water. That's crazy.
And it is a mile of stream restoration as well, just under 0.98.
Okay.
Is the stream restoration where it started?
Yes, and the scope of the project has changed over the years as well. When I started 5 years ago, it was meant to be a stream restoration with the span of 50 feet, including a 30-foot riparian buffer. But in the pre-construction assessments of the site, it was understood that the historic floodplain was actually much larger, and it was impaired with legacy sediment. So that really expanded our project, and then included the legacy sediment removal, and then created the flood storage by removing the legacy sediment.
Yeah, you were kind enough to kind of give us a tour around that project in September. It's absolutely gorgeous, by the way. It is a neat place to be.
And there's public walking trails, and so anybody can go visit.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's right off of the Conewago Recreation Trail, so there's easy access.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for the meadow to come up in the spring.
Sure.
It's going to be, I love a good meadow. So.
It'll be so
Weird.
beautiful.
I love a good meadow. That's a new line.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But you mentioned the legacy sediment. When we were out there was like a mountain of legacy sediment that had been pulled out of this area. I mean, how much sediment did you pull out?
So we call it Mount Londonderry. We actually have two mountains of sediment. It is 125,000 cubic yards. The same amount of sediment that we removed is the flood storage that we gained. And we're working with deals. We've given away some of the, made deals to give away some of the sediment, but we are still working with organizations to coordinate sediment removal.
Now, kind of our dynamic is that I'm the newbie in the conservation world. So So this is going to be kind of a newbie type of question, but there might be people out there that are wondering, what can you use legacy sediment for?
That's a really great question. I'll take it a step back even further and describe legacy sediment, because it was a term I was unfamiliar with previously. So legacy sediment is topsoil that has eroded from farmlands and from our landscapes, and it has slowly over 100 years, 200 years, with deforestation and building and farming practices, eroded soil into our wetlands, and it actually the sediment got trapped behind historic dams, and then the sediment filtered out of the water, and it stayed as the water went past the dam. So then over these 100, 200 years, the sediment levels rose to really high levels, making our streams really incised. And it's very fine sediment particles, so they don't have much structural integrity. So what can you do with this legacy sediment? It's really nutrient rich. It is our original topsoil. So originally we did look into giving it to local farmers, but it actually became a much harder task, because the farmers would need to take a year off of the growing season to truck in a large amount of legacy sediment and then incorporate it into their soil. They would lose virtually a whole growing season. So at this point, we're coordinating with partners such as landfills to use as topsoil, as well as municipalities who need fill, or another municipality is looking into the possibility of bringing the soil in to raise a park to be above water level.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different municipalities, or a lot of different uses for the legacy sediment.
You have educated me.
I'm so glad.
For a newbie, you're picking up all kinds of stuff real quick.
I am. My brain is full already. Tell me about the how that helps the wildlife and the bugs. We keep going back to the bugs conversation. The ecosystem. Yeah, it's an immense ecosystem. By removing the legacy sediment, I said the streams historically are impaired and the banks are very incised. So by removing the legacy sediment, we've created wetlands. And so there's a whole different type of habitat created in expanding the wetlands and planting native plants, installing meadow grasses to buffer the project. So we are actually hosting a BioBlitz this summer as part of Lancaster Water Week, and we'll be bringing out volunteers, and we will be monitoring to take a first-year assessment. The project was only completed in summer 2023. So in summer 2024, we'll look and see what animals are on site. We'll be looking at mammals, birds, trees, plants, reptiles, and amphibians. Nice.
That sounds great. You guys have done so much to engage the public in this project along the way. I mean, it came from the municipal drive, but then the way that you've included the community during that whole process. Tell us about some of the ways that you've already done outreach to educate people about what this is. And you can get real sciencey real quick with this kind of project.
Yes.
And so, tell us about some of the ways you've continued to educate all of us.
Yes, and I think that's the coolest part of this project is there are so many aspects. There are ways to relate it to recreation, and there are ways to bring people outside and connect them with the environment. So the BioBlitz will be a really great way to get the public involved. But we also had a 5K and field day. It was called the Conewago Darter, and it was April 2023. The next Conewago Darter will actually change to be October 12th of 2024.
Okay.
So avoiding the Earth Day masses.
The rush of the spring.
Yes, and we're changing it to celebrate Riparian Buffer Month.
Wonderful.
So and as part of the 5K, we end in the field, which we've just planted 33 acres of meadow, and we have a field day where last year we had 14 partners set up table booths. We planted 50 trees, and it was a really great way to engage with the local residents with other conservation groups. So in all of these ways, I've offered tours in our newsletters to all the residents in Londonderry Township. I do try and bring people out because I believe people won't care about our environment unless they're connected to our environment. So I try and show them what we're doing in our township and the resources available to them and why they should care.
Amazing. It's really inspirational, and the way that you've made the connections. This is part of the project itself, obviously has wide-reaching implications and a couple different audiences. What's the way that you see this as a connection point or maybe an anchor point for some of the work that's happening in the entire watershed?
I think our partners are doing some really amazing monitoring work in the watershed. So I think once we analyze the water quality monitoring, both pre-project and post-project installation, and above stream and below, upstream and then below the project, we will see the effectiveness and if it is effective, which we believe this total floodplain restoration should be effective. But we'll have real numbers and real statistics to be able to show to partners and other people doing this sort of work. If the effort and the money in the initial start of the project, it justifies the ends to the means to the end.
And this kind of project, like you said, it's really unique, and the scale of it has such a big impact. It's not the only one of its kind in Lancaster County. We're really fortunate to have a number of these types of projects that have been in place for years and have been, like you're describing, that pre and post and being able to see the effectiveness of it. Have you connected with any of those other partner organizations and kind of swap stories?
Not particularly in that exact trading situation. I am actually not super in touch. You know what? I do take that back. I have been on many site tours. I take that back 100%. I have been on many site tours of different restorations, and I think every restoration site you go to is different because the surroundings are different. The watershed is different. The Conewago watershed is a smaller watershed comparatively. But we are actually doing this on the main stem, whereas a lot of these projects happen on the tributaries. So we do have a 53-acre watershed up to the point of the project, I believe. So I have toured a lot of the restoration sites. I think they are really interesting. However, I don't know of any monitoring efforts that are as intensive as what our partners are doing. We have really great partners who are monitoring the project, and we hope to see really great results. The Conewago watershed is unique in that it's a 319 Section 319 watershed, so it's an impaired body of water that has a watershed implementation plan. So we are really lucky to have a strong group of partners who have been working together for 15 years and are very active in the watershed. And so those partners are very involved in both the BioBlitz and the water quality monitoring and the field day.
Kind of off on a different tangent of that. There may be people or municipalities or landowners or what have you that would love to do this kind of project, but they're looking at it and going, oh my gosh, what must that cost? But there's funding available. We've mentioned that certainly a lot off mic, but what funding did you guys use to make this project happen?
We pursued a lot of different funding sources, and we're very fortunate to be well positioned to receive a lot of funding. We receive funding from both the Dauphin and Lancaster countywide action plans, as well as money from Susquehanna River Basin Commission, DEP's Growing Greener programs, and ME2 programs, as well as National Fish and Wildlife, two National Fish and Wildlife grants. So we have been very fortunate. And to those people who don't have access to grants, I think that the advice I would give to anyone wanting to make an improvement in their backyard is to contact their local conservation district or a local watershed organization, because we are always looking to connect with landowners and educate them, and often have funding sources to plant a riparian buffer or do a larger stream restoration, depending on the resources.
Well, that is like an amazing project, and I, definitely glad to have experienced it myself. Looking forward to going back out in the spring when it starts to get its buds and looking all pretty, and taking a walk out there on the walking path. So good stuff.
Thanks for hosting us for the media event too, when we got the county American Rescue Plan Act funding award. The Conewago Project was one that hosted us for the media and had people out in the stream for a walking tour. At what part or what phase was that? It was a few years ago, but
it was a few years ago, I believe.
So early in the process.
Yeah, that was early in the process.
Okay.
I believe that went towards phase 3.
Okay.
Yes, so it is a three-phase project that we were able to actually complete in 1 year, from summer to summer, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't expect that, but we were so lucky that this funding became available. Both the Rescue Act dollars and the CAP dollars were monies that we didn't think would become available. We thought it would be a much longer construction process, and then we were so thrilled to be able to complete it in 1 year.
Well, what a great example of when the funding and the resources and all the capacity is there in place, and there's a champion like you all driving that. It's possible for 3 phases to happen in 1 calendar year.
Yes, and we have been so well positioned, but our mantra is to plan so far in advance you can be so ready to accept money as it becomes available. And I think that has really benefited both this project and our program.
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
Very nice. Well, let's move on to Conservation Trivia Lightning Round. We did this in the first episode.
Origins.
Well, this is in the Origins episode, and it went all right, I guess.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep trying it. Now, you did mention that you had hosted a trivia, which I thought was really clever.
It is,
I love a
yes.
good play on words. So I am giving you some questions about trees.
Okay.
So-
Wish me luck. Wish me luck.
So I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. Answer as many of them as you can. Don't take too long to think about them, because
Sure.
then it slows it up. You know how that goes. So here we go. A mature tree can absorb how many pounds of carbon dioxide a year?
125.
48, at least according to what I got. Name one of the 3 countries that have the highest number of native tree species.
One of the top 3.
Next.
How many tree species are there in the world?
3,000.
Even bigger.
More than 60,000.
Whew.
I know. We ran out of time, but
That's a lot.
we'll keep going because these are interesting things. Different parts of a tree grow in different times of the year. Most of the foliage grows in the spring. What part grows in the summer?
The trunk.
That is correct. Give you the ding for that. Yeah. How old is the current oldest living tree?
225 years.
It is at least 4,600 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where it's growing?
India.
It is actually growing on the Methuselah Trail in the White Mountains of Inyo National Forest in California.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't have that on the tip of your tongue?
No.
Weird.
No. I'm so shocked. But just to answer that, name one of the 3 countries that have the highest number of native tree species. They are Brazil, Colombia, and Indonesia.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I
good
think
stuff.
Lancaster County's getting up there. With the amount of trees that are going in and the focus on native habitat, we are climbing.
We can only hope.
Keep planting native
That's
trees.
right. That's right.
Yes, they were designed to be here. So
Right.
keep planting those native trees.
Well, like Monique said, there's Riparian Buffer Month coming up in October. There's Lancaster Water Week happening in June. So many, many opportunities coming to volunteer and be part of that native tree planting effort.
I love the shameless plugs. That is beautiful.
100%.
Well, that is our show. I want to thank you, Monique, for coming and sitting and chatting with us. Looking forward to coming out and seeing the wetlands again. And I'm just grateful that you spent your time with us here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and please come out to the site anytime. I would love to host you, love to give you a tour, and I'll put in my own shameless plug if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
June 9th, we are having the Bio Blitz, and we are having a call for volunteers to come out and help us survey for the animals and plants and critters on the site, as well as October 12th is the 5K and Field Day, the Conewago 5K and Field Day, and please come and participate in the Field Day or participate in the 5K, or just come for the field day and talk to our local conservation partners about what you can do in your backyard.
Monique, you are inspiring many. Thank you for your leadership here in Lancaster and being part of this collaborative effort.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for including me.
We will be back in a couple of weeks. Until then, take care.
Bye-bye.
Clean Water Conversations is brought to you by Lancaster Clean Water Partners. If you have comments or suggestions on the show topics, please contact us at info@lancastercleanwaterpartners.com. Thank you for listening.